So today we're going to be diving into how to use MDaudit in a hospital-based setting for auditing and reporting on revenue integrity. Let's get started with some introductions. My name is Cheryl, Director of Communications, and I'm joined here today by Dana Finnegan, a product expert at Hayes. We only have about 30 minutes together, so if you like what you see today and want to see more, we encourage you to request a custom demonstration using the chat window or requesting it on our website. Before we show you the platform itself, I'd like to tell you a little bit more about how it works. MDaudit is a modular solution, so you can choose which components of the platform make the most sense for your business. MDaudit Enterprise ingests your pre-bill or post-bill claims and remit data automatically, and you can use data from both providers and hospitals. Once ingested, it's used for a few different functions. The auditing workflow is the main engine and provides workflow solutions for auditors, billing compliance, and HIM. These workflows allow staff to audit E&M charges, inpatient services, coder performance, assess risk, and create overviews of the findings. Charges can be reviewed either pre- or post-claim submissions, allowing organizations to do both prospective and retrospective audits. Charge Analyzer provides insights and anomaly detection through dashboards and reports that allow all the departments using MDaudit to provide advanced analytics and feedback to the providers and coders to help improve documentation. And our Revenue Optimizer focuses on providing denial insights and identifying opportunities to avoid future denials. And just recently, we added an external audit workflow allowing you to manage third-party requests from commercial payers and government entities such as RACs. And the goal of the entire platform is to identify anomalies and problems, streamline your processes, and provide the reporting and insights to educate and enable corrective action, all leading to a healthier revenue cycle. MDaudit Enterprise impacts the revenue cycle in a few places. It enables prospective auditing to allow auditors to catch billing or coding errors before the claim is submitted to help speed up reimbursement and improve cash flow. You can use MDaudit to gain insights into the reasons for denials, allowing you to avoid them moving forward. The retrospective auditing tools allow you to take a risk-intelligent approach to auditing to be more efficient and effective. And most importantly, MDaudit allows you to identify areas of compliance and revenue risk and provides the tools to help educate so you can enable improvement moving forward. The last thing I want to mention before we take a look at the product is the technology platform. We are data experts, which means not only do we know how to get the data you need quickly, but we're also able to do it securely. Users of MDaudit no longer need to wait for files to be pulled. The data is automatically ingested regularly. It can use both provider and hospital data, and with our optimized cloud-based technology, you're able to access it instantly and securely. But you don't just have to take our word for it. MDaudit Enterprise is HITRUST certified, proving that we have met key regulation and industry-defined requirements. So let's dive in.
Thanks, Cheryl. I am going to pull my screen up and show it to everybody. So folks, thank you for joining us today. What we want to do is take you through about a 20-minute demonstration of how MDaudit Enterprise can really, help you. We're hearing all the time in the field with our clients that, RAC audits and OIG scrutiny, it's really going through the roof. So what we intend to do today is show you how there's workflows and analytics that can keep you kind of in the driver's seat and in ahead of some of that scrutiny. So the first thing I want to do, and we're gonna do it together because we want to show you that this is kind of a really easy process, is we're going to build an audit together. I'm going to say we're doing a DRG audit. Now we're talking about the facility side of the world today. So this hospital billing can be done both on the inpatient side and the outpatient side. We're doing DRG today, but you can do the same process for your facility outpatient audits as well. So I'm assigning myself to this DRG audit as the primary auditor, but the real kind of economies of scale, I think, happen here. So what you need to do in our system is just really say, here's the service dates that I want this audit to run for. And because we're taking your data in on a daily basis, you could run this audit for the day before, or you could go back a year, 2 years, whatever you want it to be. So I'm putting in my dates of service, and then I'm going to just really create a rule. You can see here, we can do this on the professional side. Today, we're going to talk about hospital inpatient and outpatient. Now, a rule is very simple. Really, it's nothing more than telling the system exactly what you want it to find for you. You know, we hear one of the main problems that are keeping people very ineffective and unproductive is data. This data massaging, working spreadsheets, and really not allowing you to just concentrate on the audit. So let's build something together. I'm going to go and say, show me where the inpatient DRG is not equal to, but is in this list. And we're going to list out 870, 871, and 872, because we all know the OIG is on top of looking at sepsis-related cases. So those are the DRGs I want. But I also want to really concentrate on the ones that were billed to the primary payer of Medicare Part A, because it's the government, and we're all a little concerned about the government looking at our billing practices. But I'm going to get a little bit more detailed. I'm also going to say, show me where the length of stay is not equal to, but is greater than, well, let's do 20 days. And where finally the CC and MCC count is also greater than, let's just put in 5. Now, you may not always use a similar query, but what I'm doing is I'm saying, please find me, MDaudit, all of my sepsis cases billed to Medicare, where I've got a really long length of stay, and my patient has several comorbidities. Once I tell the system what I want it to find, I'm going to hit these arrows, and right away it's saying there's 35 that you need to review. That's the total claim population. I don't want to see all 35. I don't have time. So I'm going to put in a sample size of 10. And that sample size that is going to be run and found for me is very similar. Our system to very similar to the way RatStats runs its randomization algorithms. So I put in my sample size, I've hit continue, and I hit create audit. And that spinning that you're seeing right now is the system doing that randomization and finding me 10 truly unique claims with sepsis-related DRGs. So again, in just a few clicks, we're going to really help you abandon any manual processes you may have and get you right into your audit. So I'm going to now show you, what that audit looks like. Pulling up this claim. Now, one thing Cheryl mentioned is we're doing a retrospective audit right now. The system, I want you to take this away today too. Our system can operationalize. We're doing a retrospective one now. Our system can operationalize this on a prospective basis too. So if you want to take a look at your pre-bill charges and fix these things that can go wrong before it goes out the door, and really, impact your first pass pay rates and reduce your days in AR, this can be done prospectively as well. So what I'm seeing now is a view of the claim. I have all of my diagnosis codes. I like that the CCs and MCCs have visual indicators. I've got my DRG, my admitting diagnosis. Of course, I have everything at the revenue code line level with units and charges. If this was an outpatient claim, if we had decided to look at an ASC, an ambulatory surgical center surgery, this would have the CPTs and modifiers to audit. And we often get asked, can I also audit those other things like admit source and discharge status? All of those fields are going to be available to you so you can append your audit evaluation. So we're going to do that right now. And I want you to know everything you do in our system gets auto-captured in a report post-audit, so you can share it with your coders and your physicians, whoever needs that post-audit education. So I'm going to go in and do a mock audit with you. I'm going to say, I agree with all of those diagnosis codes, that they were coded with the most amount of accuracy and integrity. I like those first 5. But I'm going to go in and say, you know what? I don't like this chronic respiratory failure. I'm going to edit that. There's a more accurate code for what I'm seeing in the documentation. So I'm going to go in and see that this is the billed value, but I'm going to put in the supported value. J96, instead of 12, I'm going to put in 11. I'm then going to put in my audit finding. This is a drop-down list that we start you off with, but you can customize your own naming conventions for what works for you. I think the best one here would be diagnosis disagreement. So I'm going to put that in, and I'm also going to put in my comments as to why I'm disagreeing. Because again, this whole repertoire will be captured in a report, and you're going to be able to sit down with the coder or whoever it is coding this service and say, look, I changed it to this, and this is why. Capturing it all so you don't have to create any reports on your own. I'm going to save that, and you see it's turned it red. Red is indicative that you made a changes, and it changes it to the code you want it to be. I'm going to do one other change here. I'm going to go into my DRG, and you're going to see this one is telling me that it was sepsis without event. I'm going to go in and say, you know what? This indeed did have event for at least 96 hours. And I think the most appropriate audit finding in here would be that the first billed DRG was a potential underpayment. And I'm going to put in my comments. I want the coder to see this, and I'm going to save it. And it's now changed it to 870. But along with changing not only the coding quality as you append your evaluation, it's also going to let you know your payment integrity. Very important to understand your overpayments and underpayments to keep a healthy bottom line. So really what I've seen here is say, when that was billed out as the 871, it paid 10,000. But when I changed it, it's actually supposed to be a $61,000 payment. Therefore, I was underpaid by $51,000. That allows me to understand the payment integrity here and go off and chase those dollars if I can still do that. So I'm going to now put that into a completed status because I'm done with that claim, and I'm going to save and close it. So we've got 9 other claims to go through. We're not going to do that today, not enough time, but what you've really seen at a high level is the ability for our system to get you into your audits, keep you effective, keep you productive, and keep you, honestly, a better quality of kind of work life. So you're not frustrated with those spreadsheets and manual systems. I actually came back here because I wanted to show you one thing. We know that there's a lot of coders involved in the facility inpatient and outpatient billing. So our system also has the ability to match up the claims, both prospectively and retrospectively, with who has coded them. So there's some technical underpinnings to that, but I wanted you to know whether you're doing high-risk DRGs or you're doing surgicals on the ASC side, or you're auditing coders, we're going to be able to help you audit your coders as well, as we know they're working a lot of those facility inpatient and outpatient claims. And by the way, if you audit a coder and they've done some things wrong, which we know they will at times, the system will also engender a rebuttal process. These audits can be sent to your coders so they can take a look and rebut it and have dialogue with you until there's resolution. Finally, the last thing I'd want you to see is in any audit, it's very important to attach documentation. These are things you're going to want your coders to see or your providers to see. You can upload any documentation you want into the audit and it will live there forever. Any types of collateral you want them to see as you meet with them during your education sessions. So again, folks, that was a really high level of how we can get you into an audit and keep you, again, in the driver's seat with the amount of work you have to do. What I want to do now is take a little bit of a shift. That's what we call our workflows, but I want you to see some analytics. So workflows is when you know exactly what you want to audit. You want to look at your audit plan, do your high-risk DRGs, HCCs, whatever it may be that you want to automate. But this is something I want to show you. It's called a metrics dashboard. Now, this is going to work on the inpatient and outpatient facility side, as well as the pro-fee side. What the metrics dashboard is we have pre-built content. This already exists in the platform. So we're going to be able to show you, hey, this is what the racks are scrutinizing. This is the PEPR report. We all know the PEPR report. It's unwieldy. It's difficult to deal with, but we've got that built into our platform. KPI metrics is a nice hodgepodge of what the OIG is scrutinizing, national coverage determination. So point here is we've built in a lot of stuff already. And I'm going to show you an example that'll help illustrate that, is we're going to be able to prowl through your data on a daily basis and point things out to you, do anomaly detection on the things that you may not know are outside of normative ranges. So we're going to pull in a Pepper metric right now because we know Pepper is very popular on the inpatient side. What our system is saying here is, hey, you've been doing surgical debridements. And as we've looked at your data over several years, you're doing those debridements about 30% of the time. Now, what it's showing here is over a rolling 12-month average, you've taken a significant dip. You're only billing that out 10% of the time. You were at 30, you've gone significantly down to 10. This number here is a benchmark being the MDaudit community. It's saying that others using our platform that are doing the same type of surgical procedures are doing it 41% of the time. So this will show up on your dashboard telling you, alert, take a look at me, because there's been such a significant dip internally at your organization and versus others just like you. And it wants you to take a look at it. It's basically telling you you've got a coding issue, you've got a documentation issue, and you certainly have a revenue leakage issue. So it's pointed out the anomaly, but you can explore it a little bit further. And right away, it's going to tell you things like, here's the payer that's, or payers that this is happening with most. It's affecting these attending providers. But more importantly, an auditor can come here and see the affected claims. You may want to look at your high dollar charges. I actually want to focus on my $0 payments. Or for certain payers, but an auditor can click these off and then very easily create an audit. And what it's going to do is launch you back to that workflow that we saw in part 1, where you can say, hey, I'm working with this department and I'm Dana Finnegan. I hit continue, and it's grabbed those 5 debridement claims that are probably having a coding and documentation issue that you need to look at immediately, uploaded them for you, you hit continue, you hit create audit, and now you have a centralized repository to start comparing those documentation to the claims and figuring out why in the world are we having such a significant dip with the amount of surgical debridements that we're doing. And that's just one example. As it prowls through your billing, it'll find issues with telehealth, CCs, MCCs, anything you can think of, it will look through and find where you're having those funky billing patterns. And finally, we also offer the ability here to come in and build your own metrics. A lot of people will say, I'm billing out a new DRG, I'm billing out a new service line, and I need to create a metric that will track that. Well, you can very easily go in and say, I'm on a hospital claim type, and I would like to track anything you want. You can pull in here. I want to track inpatient DRGs with lengths of stay greater than this, whatever it is. If it's billed on a facility inpatient or outpatient claim, you can track it, and our system will help you define if you're seeing a billing anomaly, both internally at your organization and or externally versus other organizations in the MDaudit community. That was a mouthful, a narrative, quite a narrative. But again, we don't want you to just use a workflow. We want you to use our workflow to really automate your data pull, but we want you to take advantage of sophisticated analytics that can help you find things that will point you in the right direction and keep you, again, I keep on saying, in the driver's seat. So you discover it before the OIG or someone else that's looking at this same data. Now, what I want to do is kind of show you, you're doing a lot of audits. That's great, but you need insights into those audits. What are you unearthing? What are you finding? You need reporting on that. So you'll see here, we will provide reporting for professional audits, outpatient audits, inpatient audits. But what you need at your disposal is augmented intelligence running over all of your audits and telling you what you're unearthing and helping you drill down to root cause, because root cause is going to allow you to fix the problem. So in the background, we have stuff running that's finding, hey, here's your top 10 DRGs that you're constantly disagreeing with. You're finding problems with these DRGs. Number one is spinal fusion. Well, you've got 8 cases here with an underpayment. That's not good because spinal fusions are going to pay a lot of money. So what you're going to want to know is certain things. And what you can do with a simple click is drill down to, let's say you could look at it, what facility is that happening at if you have several facilities? I like to drill down to, is it one attending provider? Is it many? So I'm going to drill down and see that it's for a bunch of attending providers, but this provider is having the biggest issue with those spinal fusions. I'm disagreeing with them that they're being underpaid, meaning they're being undercoded. If you wanted to drill down again and say, who's responsible? What is the coder by name? You can drill down and find the coder's name responsible for those poorly coded spinal fusions. So there's many different dashboards here. Primary diagnosis issues will also track your DRGs with the largest underpayments and overpayments by facility. And again, if you want to drill down within that facility to attending provider, specialty, you're able to do all of that to, again, pinpoint root cause. You would then know I need to speak to coder Dana Finnegan immediately. Those spinal fusions, we've lost too much money. That's kind of weeds level report, I call it, but there's also executive overviews. So at some point, you're going to be asked to present what you're unearthing and finding, really proving the efficacy and effectiveness of your compliance program to the executives, your CCO, your CFO. So many dashboards for that as well. I like the one here that will show procedural-based accuracy. Procedural-based accuracy is where the money is. And you can see, hopefully you're in one of these situations where you're seeing a lot of green, meaning you're agreeing. But if someone calls you and says, oh, orange is missed revenue, you can go to that 2.3% in missed revenue and say, yep, we know it's the coder group of vascular surgery, and we're going to go and speak to them. We've got a meeting with them next week. So we want you to see in this short time we have today that you need workflows at your disposal to help you automate your data pulls, but we also feel you need analytics to help you unearth the things that may be getting past your radar. And at the end of the day, also have reporting that will show you where you need to focus future efforts, because there's really critical things like missed revenue or non-billable services that will deny for medical necessity. So folks, last thing I would say is thank you again for coming. We spent a lot of time on inpatient side of the world, but the same process can be used to automate your outpatient claims so you can audit them. And I know this wasn't for today's session, but we also can operationalize all of this on the pro fee side as well, both prospectively and retrospectively. So what I want to do right now, I'm a little disappointed because I wanted to show more stuff, but as Cheryl said, you can come back and get a deeper dive if you'd like. But what I want to do is just close out right now and let Cheryl take over, because it looks like we've got some questions.
Yeah, Dana, I was actually going to ask before you close your screen.
Yep.
I do have a question, and I think if you're able to pull up the E&M charts, it might help answer the question. It might be easier for you to pull it up. It's a whole paragraph. But
okay, so we are interested in a platform that has the capability of identifying outliers. We perform risk-based auditing, and we want to identify areas of providers or clinics that puts at risk both national benchmarks, but also peer data. Yep. So providers billing more. Yeah. So I can show you that really quickly. So really, what the person is asking is there any way to take in provider data and really do some analytics on it? Maybe where they're over or under billing E&Ms, or where they're over billing procedures. So in whoever that is, we definitely want to get some time scheduled with you. But what this is showing here is strictly E&Ms, but we can look at your providers, all of them that are billing E&Ms, and we can compare them to benchmarks, the benchmarks you just asked about. We have CMS as a benchmark, as well as the MDaudit community, which is all of the other providers that are billing E&Ms. And when you apply and invoke those benchmarks, we will tell you that any of your providers here are habitually undercoding, and any of them up here are habitually overcoding, giving you a risk-based approach to identify exactly who you need to audit. And another piece of that is on the metrics side. I saw something in there about modifier 59. Can we track modifier 59? You definitely can. So here I'm showing where the organization is billing way too many modifier 25s with established office visits. This will work for modifier 59 as well. And this card can be at the facility level as well as the individual provider level. So to answer your question, absolutely. If they're overbilling or underbilling E&Ms or procedures or modifiers, we can tell you who your at-risk population is. So
Thank
I'm going to now close out and kind of answer some of the other questions.
Yeah, thank you. I know
Sure.
that's a visual on that one is always the best way to explain what we can do. So,
Yep.
So want to thank everybody for joining us. We've got some questions that came in that we're going to address now. And if anybody has any other ones, feel free to send them in through that question window. So Dana, can you do anything with HCCs in facility?
Yes, absolutely. So those metric cards that we showed, one of the things that you're able to do is configure them. And we do this with you. We train you on this. We help you build it. So you can go in and track over under utilization of HCCs, CCs, MCCs, HCCs with a certain length of stay. So that same technology that we showed, you can use to do anomaly detection on HCCs at the facilities. And you can also use that workflow to pull. You can actually go in and say, show me all of my HCCs in this category, and it'll pull everything in diabetes or COPD, and it'll automatically pull that data so you can audit immediately. So yes, the answer to that is yes.
Along the same line, can we use the same model used for HCCs for monitoring RVUs?
Yes.
Right?
So the bubble chart that you saw won't show RVUs, but we have a similar technology that you're going to be able to see what providers may be over, way off the charts compared to MGMA for RVUs and which ones are below. So we do have RVU reporting as well.
Can you save audits for use on a regular basis or just ad hoc?
No, you can keep an audit that you've created and have it, if you want to, if provider outcome, let's say you audit a provider and they pass, you can save that same audit and have them re-audited a year later. And you can also create configurations if they fail to have them re-audited 3 months later using the same criteria. So this can be used ad hoc and it can be used for interval audits as well.
Great. Can I send an audit to a fellow auditor for Q&A?
Yes. So one of the things that if you're the primary auditor and you want a second set of eyes to take a look at your work because you want that kind of warm and fuzzy feeling, you can assign a coworker, a fellow auditor, and you can do basically audit the auditor. So that's a workflow we have as well.
How far back can I look for an audit?
Yeah, so most of our clients supply us that use the platform about 2 years worth of data. But if you feel like it's safe to have 5 years worth of data, we'll take that historical data in. You can go back as far as the data you supply us.
Looks like we've kind of hit our time limit here. If you did have questions that we didn't get to, we'll capture those and get back to you. We will be sending out the presentation, the recording itself, and if anybody wants the slides, I'm welcome to send those too, but we'll be sending that out within 24 hours. And you're always welcome to reply back to that email with any other questions, visit our website, or, send us a message saying you're ready for a demo. One that's a little bit more customized, specific to your organization, because we know this was very, very broad and very high level. So I want to thank everybody for joining us. And Dana, thank you so much. Hope everybody has a great day.
Thank you.